Hello, everybody. It's serious topic time. I'm going to cover a topic that is very uncomfortable for most people, especially those who have survived this type of trauma. I'm just going to explain to you what happened to me so I can dive into a deeper part of the situation, which is brought forth when most people realize that you too have been a victim of this type of crime. When I was 18, going on 19, I joined the United States Army as an active duty soldier. I was a medic. I went through basic training, Fort Dix, New Jersey. I then went on to Fort Sam Houston for AIT, and then my active duty station was Fort Lewis, Washington. While serving active duty at Fort Lewis, Washington, I was eventually raped by a fellow soldier who was in my same unit. It was my then fiance's best friend, and I never knew that this would happen. I'm not saying he hadn't acted odd because we're in the barracks. There was always a CQ, charge of quarters, which is an E4 or above, and they served alongside of a lower ranking enlisted. And so at least twice he came into my room with the master key. He just proceeded to talk to me, didn't touch me, and I asked him to leave. So, anyways, eventually my fiance and I went to their home, to the home or the apartment of him, his girlfriend, and the baby. He had asked my then fiance to go check on his girlfriend at the club where she was an adult entertainer. And while my fiance was gone, I was raped, and it was brutal. It was not only a vaginal rape, but also I was sodomized, and he used his wife's dildo on me as well. So it was needless to say, it was very traumatic. After the rape was done, I simply rolled over to the side. The bed was in the upper right hand corner of the room. I rolled over towards the wall, and I pretended to be asleep. Because when my fiance returned from checking on his girlfriend, I just didn't want to be touched. I thought I'll just get through this and we'll leave and I'll move on with my life. I'll deal with it later. And later was over 20 years later. I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell. I didn't go to the police. He had a little boy under the age of 1 who was asleep in his bedroom in the apartment while the rape took place. And I think I was worried because his mom was a dancer. I believe she was also using. And I thought, what am I going to do? It's nobody's going to believe me. My fiance's not going to believe me because that's his best friend. So I didn't talk about it. I buried it per se and dealt with the repercussions of the rape for many, many years. I lived in fear, panic attacks. It was there's a laundry list of um, just a laundry list of triggers that I lived with for many, many years. And when I did share my story with people, normally it was someone who had the same experience in the military or someone else outside of the military who had also been assaulted. But for those people who had not, the biggest question was always, why didn't you tell? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you come forward? And I really could not answer that question. When you go through a trauma, I think in all essence, your body literally shuts down as a form of protection to keep you from losing it, losing your mind, having to go through a physical exam by people you don't know. So not only have you been raped and traumatized, now you're going to go through a kit. There was a series, I don't know what platform it was on. I think it was called Unbelievable, where a girl's raped, goes in to tell the police, and she's basically called a liar by the police. And it takes 2 female officers to find out that not only was she raped, but there's a serial rapist on the loose. and finally they were able to catch him. I not sure if it's a true story. But the last thing a victim of an assault, uh, anyone who's been molested as a child, assaulted as a wife, raped as a stranger or by someone they know, is why didn't you tell? Why didn't you talk? I don't know about you, but but when we look at the Catholic Church of men that have been raped by priests, they didn't talk for years, but I don't think a lot of people would question men as to why didn't you say anything. I think, and I'm not blaming men by far. When it comes to women, the guilt and shame that goes along with the fact that I couldn't protect myself. Um, I don't know. No, I think a lot of it is we don't want for our loved ones to carry the burden of our hurts. We don't want to be looked at as a victim of sexual assault. We don't prefer to be viewed as damaged goods. There's a million and one reasons why someone wouldn't say anything. All you need to do is listen. If we choose to share our story, listen. Don't ask for fine details. Don't ask about the assailant. We've already been living with this long enough. If someone says, I was raped while serving in the military, you say, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. And if they choose to share further, that's their prerogative. But please, let's change the mindsets of the general public and really start showing empathy, compassion, and such towards victims of sexual violence. You don't know. There is no one reason as to why a lot of people just can't talk about it. Every time you talk, it's reliving it, it's opening up that wound, and we really, really honestly, a lot of people just want to move on with their lives. So, anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about, and I hope this helps. Bye.